Hello and welcome to Cinema Screen HD. Today we're diving into a mind-bending thriller that's sure to twist your brain in knots. It's the 2013 sci-fi thriller Coherence. Let's quickly set the stage. On a night when a mysterious comet passes close to Earth, 8 friends gather for a dinner party. Things take an eerie turn when a sudden power outage plunges the house into darkness. 2 of the friends decide to venture out to a nearby house that still has power. But when they return, they claim that the house with the power was occupied by themselves. From that moment, confusion and fear grip the group as they realize that multiple alternate realities have been created. What caused these parallel realities to form? What challenges will they face as they struggle to navigate and escape this bizarre phenomenon? To uncover all the answers, stick with us until the very end of this video. And before we dive in, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to hit the bell icon and set notifications to all so you never miss out on our content. Now, let's jump right into the video. As the movie begins, we see Emily driving her car while on a call with her boyfriend, Kevin. During their conversation, Emily's phone suddenly cracks for no apparent reason. After this incident, Emily visits her best friend Lee's house because Lee and her husband Mike are hosting a dinner party for their closest 8 friends that evening. When Emily arrives, she finds another friend, Beth, already there, helping Lee and Mike prepare for the dinner. Emily shows her cracked phone to her 3 friends and explains how it happened while she was talking to Kevin. She then mentions hearing on the news about Miller's comet passing near Earth that day, wondering if it had anything to do with her phone breaking. Lee responds by saying she doesn't know much about the comet, but it's possible. The 4 friends start preparing dinner together while waiting for the others to arrive. Beth then asks Emily if Amir told her that he would be bringing his girlfriend Lori to the dinner. Emily replies that Amir didn't mention anything to her, but it's clear she isn't happy about Lori coming, as Lori happens to be Kevin's ex-girlfriend. While chatting about various things, Beth takes out a small bottle of drugs and says, "I use this occasionally, and if you guys want to try it, just mix a little into some water." She places the bottle on the windowsill in the kitchen. Soon after, the group is joined by 2 more friends, Emily's boyfriend, Kevin, and Beth's husband, Hugh. Everyone warmly welcomes them as they arrive. Now, with 6 of them together, they continue with dinner preparations. At one point, Emily asks Kevin if he knows Lori is coming to the dinner. Kevin laughs and says he has no idea. Hugh then asks why Lori would be coming to the dinner, to which Mike replies, "That idiot Amir is bringing her along." Later, as Emily and Kevin are talking, Kevin asks Emily if she would like joining him on his business trip to Vietnam. Emily doesn't give Kevin a direct answer, trying to avoid the question. Just then, Amir and Lori arrive at the house. The group welcomes them warmly, and the dinner party begins. As they're eating, Hugh notices that his phone has no signal. He asks the others if their phones are working, and after checking, everyone confirms that none of their phones have a signal either. Emily suggests that the signal issues might be caused by the comet. She then starts telling the group about an incident in Finland in 1923, where a comet supposedly caused strange effects on people. She explains that during that event, some people lost their memories, wandered into other people's homes, and even behaved as if they belonged there. She goes on to share a story about a woman who told the police that the man living in her house wasn't her husband. When the police insisted he was, she allegedly replied, "No, he's not my husband. I killed my husband last night, so this man cannot be him." As Emily finishes the story, Mike, always the joker, laughs and says, "Well, look at how lucky she is. She got another chance to kill her husband." The group laughs it off, but the conversation shifts when Hugh shows everyone his phone, which is also cracked. Seeing this, Emily exclaims, "That's exactly what happened to my phone. It must be the comet's effects." Hugh then asks Lee if he can use her computer to make a call since his phone isn't working. Amir checks the computer and informs Hugh that it doesn't have a signal either. Frustrated, Hugh says, "I need to call my brother Brian. What do I do now?" Beth asks him why he needs to call Brian, and Hugh explains, "You know Brian. He's a theoretical physicist. He told me to call him if anything strange happens because of the comet." Just then, the power goes out, plunging the house into darkness. The group scrambles to find candles and starts lighting them around the house. Mike comes back with a box of glow sticks and says, "Don't worry, we've got blue, green, and red glow sticks as well." Mike steps outside to check if the other houses in the neighborhood have power. When he comes back, he tells everyone that the nearby houses also don't have power, but a house a little farther away seems to have electricity. After, the group steps outside to look at the dark sky for a moment before heading back inside. Once back, they notice a broken glass on the table. Surprised, Lee says, "How did this glass break? I don't even remember putting a glass like this on the table." Mike, being his usual self, makes a joke about it, so no one dwells on it for too long. A little later, Hugh suggests going to the electricity house to see if he can make a call to his brother Brian. Although Beth strongly objects to the idea, Hugh assures her he'll be back in 5 minutes. When Amir volunteers to accompany him, Beth reluctantly agrees. Before leaving, Mike advises them to take glow sticks so the group can spot them in the dark. Hugh and Amir each grab a blue glow stick and head out. As 10 minutes pass, Beth grows anxious, mentioning how long they've been gone. The others reassure her, saying they'll be fine and will probably return soon. In the meantime, Emily starts talking about the Tunguska event, theorizing it might have been caused by a comet, just as they hear a loud noise near the back door of the house. Everyone is startled and visibly shaken. Kevin volunteers to check the door but finds nothing outside. Then Lee tells Mike to turn on the generator in their house for more light. When Mike gets the generator running, the lights in the house come back on. Shortly after, the doorbell rings. Kevin answers it and lets Hugh and Amir back in. However, everyone notices the injury on Hugh's forehead and becomes alarmed. As they settle back inside, Amir is seen holding a box he brought from the other house. Hugh immediately asks, "Why did you bring that box here?" Amir looks confused and replies, "I thought you asked me to bring it." Hugh, visibly annoyed, says, "I never even touched that box, let alone told you to bring it. I don't even know what's inside." Mike decides to open the box, and inside, they find a ping pong paddle, along with photographs of all 8 of them. Upon closer inspection, they notice that numbers are written on the back of each photo. Everyone is left shocked and confused. At this point, Hugh starts explaining what he saw when he went to the other house. He tells the group that he looked through the window of the house and saw a dinner table set for 8 people. However, he noticed something shocking. Everyone except himself and Amir was seated at that table. He also reveals that this is where he got the injury on his forehead. Hearing this, Kevin, perplexed, asks, "So was it you two who knocked on the door earlier?" Hugh and Amir deny this, but the others insist you two came back here, walked around, and knocked on this very door. Frustrated, Hugh clarifies, "No, we went straight to that house. We knocked on their door, loudly even, but no one responded. Then we went around the house and knocked on the other door, but there was still no answer. I swear we didn't come back here until now." Hugh then decides to return to that house to try again, saying, "If no one's there, I'll leave a note and come back." While they're talking, Lori glances out the window and sees someone standing near their front door. Alarmed, she points it out to everyone. Kevin immediately opens the front door to check. There's no one there. However, he finds a note stuck to the door. As he pulls it off and starts reading it, Hugh realizes the note says the exact same thing he had just written down earlier to leave at the other house. This discovery leaves everyone shocked and unnerved. Later, Beth tends to Hugh's injury and helps him rejoin the group at the table. As they gather around and examine the photos from the box, Emily notices something odd. One of the group photos of her and Kevin has been cut in half and separated into 2 individual photos. Meanwhile, Amir, looking at his photo, points out, "This photo is from today. I can tell because I'm wearing this sweater, and I only got it today." While Kevin and Emily talk privately, Emily confides in him, saying, "The handwriting on these photos looks exactly like mine." Determined to figure out what's happening, the group decides that 4 of them, Kevin, Emily, Lori, and Mike, will go outside to investigate, leaving Amir, Hugh, Beth, and Lee in the house. To stay visible in the dark, the group takes blue glow sticks with them as they head out. As the group of 4 continues on their way, Mike spots a house ahead and recognizes it as his own. Curious, he sneaks up to the window and peeks inside. To his shock, he sees Lee sitting inside. Before Mike can process this, the others call out to him, warning that someone might be coming. As they move away, they suddenly encounter another group of 4 people holding red glow sticks. What's even more terrifying is that this other group looks exactly like them. Both groups panic at the sight of each other and run off in opposite directions. When they return to the house, they realize that only 3 people are left inside because Lee had fallen asleep. They recount everything they saw, with Mike pointing out that the only difference between the 2 groups was the color of their glow sticks. The other group had red ones, while they had blue. Hugh then checks the box of blue glow sticks inside their house, and Amir starts speculating about what's happening. Meanwhile, Emily asks Lee and Mike if there are any books in the house about quantum physics. Both of them respond that there aren't. Beth then remembers something and tells Hugh, "Your brother left a book at our house once. I kept it in the car thinking I'd post it to him. It should still be there." Hugh and Kevin go to retrieve the book from the car. When they return, Hugh examines it and discovers some notes written by Brian about decoherence and Schrodinger's cat. Hugh begins explaining the Schrodinger's cat thought experiment to the group. He says, "Imagine a cat inside a box with a vial of poison. The poison has a 50% chance of being released, which would kill the cat. According to classical physics, the cat is either dead or alive. But in quantum physics, the cat is simultaneously both dead and alive until someone opens the box and observes it. The act of observation determines which reality becomes true." As Hugh finishes explaining, the group starts discussing its implications. They realize that they might be like the cat in the box, existing in two different states, or realities, simultaneously. They theorize that the comet's influence might have caused a split, creating two separate realities. They debate whether these realities will eventually merge back into one or remain separate. At this point, Mike says, "If we're heading toward becoming a single reality, I'll go and kill all of them. That way, we'll survive because I love my life." Kevin responds, "If you try to kill them, you'll end up killing yourself too. So who really wins in that situation? Let's think this through carefully before we act." The group then asks Mike about what he saw through the window earlier. Mike replies, "I saw Lee, Amir, and Hugh, but I didn't see Beth." They realize that in this reality, Lee was asleep. However, in the other reality, it must have been Beth who was asleep instead of Lee. That's why Mike didn't see Beth earlier. Based on this, the group concludes that the people in the other reality might not have found Brian's book yet, and it's likely still in Hugh's car. They come up with a plan to steal the book from the other group, thinking that it could help them escape from this situation. Since they need Hugh's car key to execute the plan, Mike asks Hugh for it. But Hugh refuses, saying, "We shouldn't do anything. Let's just stay here and not make things worse." Later, Mike and Kevin have a private conversation. Mike reveals his intention to go to the other house, confront himself there, and threaten him using his relationship with Beth to stop him from taking the book. Kevin warns him not to do it, but Mike doesn't listen and leaves the house. Meanwhile, Emily asks Beth, "Did you put that drug you showed us earlier into our food?" Beth denies it and takes everyone to the kitchen to show them the vial, assuring them she didn't use it in the food. Back in the living room, Hugh and Amir suddenly show up holding red glow sticks. They also reveal that they've taken the book and are planning to leave the house. Just as they're about to leave, Mike returns, and Kevin immediately asks him, "What happened?" Mike replies, "I left a note at the house and waited for about 40 minutes to see what would happen. What I saw drove me insane." Kevin responds, "You couldn't have been gone more than 10 minutes. Mike retorts angrily, "You're crazy." Amidst all this chaos, Hugh and Amir quietly take the box and the book and leave the house. The group eventually gathers in the living room, only to discover that Hugh and Amir, along with the box and the book, have disappeared entirely. At this point, Kevin tries to figure out where Hugh and Amir went, but as he's about to leave, Emily stops him, preventing him from going. By now, everyone is fed up and exhausted from everything that has happened. Later, we see Beth and Lee in the kitchen, talking. Lee is cleaning the glass that broke during the first power outage, but now the glass not broke. This detail raises the question, is the Emily we're now seeing still in the same reality as the one she was in during the first power outage? With that lingering question, let's continue with the story. Emily then asks Mike for the couple photos of her and Kevin that he had. Mike retrieves the photos and hands them to Emily. After looking through them, Emily approaches Kevin and starts asking him about Lori. While they're talking, the power goes out again, plunging the entire house into darkness. The group lights their candles again. Suddenly, they hear the sound of glass breaking outside, as if a car window has been smashed. They all rush outside and see that the window of Hugh's car has been shattered. Emily goes to her car, puts on the ring Kevin had given her earlier, and then confronts Kevin about what happened to Hugh's car. When Kevin doesn't respond, Emily realizes that this Kevin isn't the same Kevin who had come outside with her earlier. Emily goes back into the house, where the rest of the group is discussing what happened to Hugh's car. Out of nowhere, two people, Hugh and Amir, appear at the front door, holding blue glow sticks. The group lets them in and begins talking. However, they notice that the band-aid on Hugh's injury is now different. When questioned, Amir explains, "We accidentally went into the house with red glow sticks, but when we realized it wasn't our house, we grabbed Brian's book and 2 red glow sticks and came back." Amir shows them the 2 red glow sticks as proof. At this point, the group deduces that even though they now have both red and blue glow sticks, the box of glow sticks in this house was originally blue. This means Hugh and Amir must indeed belong to this house. Emily then takes out the note that Hugh had written earlier and asks, "So was it you who stuck this note on the door of this house?" Hugh replies, "It wasn't me." Emily presses further, "If it wasn't you, and it wasn't the other Hugh, then who put this note on the door of this house?" After reading Brian's note again, they realize that more than 2 realities have been created. They decide they need to stop switching between houses and do something random to anchor themselves in the correct house. They come up with a plan. Each person will get a random number using a dice and write it on the back of a solo photo of themselves, seal it in a box, and lock it. Since Amir doesn't have a solo photo, he takes one. Although Emily and Kevin have a couple photo together, they don't have individual photos. But when Laurie has a single photo of Kevin and goes to give it to Emily, Emily angrily cuts off a couple photo of Kevin and her. They then find a box, roll the dice to get their numbers, and write those numbers on their photos with a blue pen before putting them into the box. To make it even more random, they place a coaster inside the box as well and lock it. Lee then asks if the numbers they just rolled match the ones from earlier. Emily remembers she had written the earlier numbers in a notebook, so she grabs it and checks. She notices something strange. Although the numbers are in her handwriting, they are written with a green pen instead of the red pen she originally used. To confirm the difference, Emily writes the new set of numbers in red ink directly under the green ones. She then recalls the numbers written on the photos from the earlier box and cross-checks them. After asking everyone what numbers were written on their photos in the found box, she realizes that Beth and Lee are the only ones who truly belong in this house. The others must have come from different realities. Emily then tells Mike that the Hugh in their group doesn't belong here either, pointing out that their original Hugh's phone had a cracked screen, but this Hugh's phone is intact. She insists that they must find their way back to their original house before the comet passes completely. If they fail, they risk being trapped in the wrong reality forever. Mike, however, disagrees. He says there's no way to be sure which house is the original, so they should stay where they are and stop creating more chaos. While they are discussing this, a note slides under the door. Hugh picks it up, reads it, and learns about the affair between Beth and Mike. Furious, Hugh confronts Mike, but Mike dismisses it, saying, "It's not as serious as you think. Besides, we aren't even the real people from this house. This is Lee and Beth's house. And look at your phone. It doesn't even have a crack, does it?" Hugh replies, "No, my phone isn't cracked." He shows his phone to everyone, Emily and the others, to insist that Hugh's phone was definitely cracked earlier. When the others ask Hugh what item was inside the box they found earlier, he says it was a stapler, but Mike responds, saying that the box they found had a napkin instead. Mike then declares, "We are clearly in the wrong reality. And not just that, you're yelling at the wrong mic. There are millions of realities out there. Then in most of them, Beth and I probably have a relationship." Angered by this, Hugh tries to attack Mike, but the others manage to hold him back and take him to the kitchen to calm down. Suddenly, another version of Mike, carrying a green glow stick, bursts into the house and attacks the Mike already inside. After hitting him, new Mike runs out. Everyone is left confused, unable to make sense of what just happened. As the group panics, Emily slips out of the house. She begins wandering between houses, peeking through their windows. In every house, she notices that something seems wrong. Each one has its own problems. While wandering, Emily looks up and sees the comet glowing brightly in the sky. Desperate to find a house where everyone seems happy, she finally stumbles upon one. Sneaking into the house, she finds Beth's drug bottle, takes it, and sneaks back out. Emily then smashes Hugh's car windshield with a baseball bat, creating a loud noise that draws everyone from that house outside. While they are distracted, new Emily sneaks to her car, puts on the ring Kevin had given her earlier. At this time, Emily uses the drug-soaked cloth to knock out the Emily from this house. After dragging her unconscious body into a car and locking it, she returns inside the house, blending in with the others. While everyone steps outside to watch the comet in the sky, Emily sees the other version of herself manage to escape the car and enter the house again. In a panic, this Emily attacks the other with a blow to the head and drags her unconscious body into the bathtub. She covers her with a cloth, removes the Emily's ring, and throws it away. Putting the other Emily's ring on herself, she rejoins the group. However, the intense stress finally takes its toll, and Emily collapses unconscious. The next morning, Emily wakes up and goes to the kitchen, where Lee asks her if she's feeling better. Emily replies, yes, and everything seems normal. However, we are shown that in this house, the glass that was broken earlier is now intact. Later, Emily walks toward the bathroom. Just as she approaches, Beth steps out, having just finished showering. This makes Emily realize that the other Emily is no longer there. After, Emily goes outside to check Hugh's car. She sees that the windshield is still broken from what she had done the previous night, and Brian's book is still inside the car. As she sees this, Kevin approaches Emily with the ring, saying it was found in the bathroom. When Kevin gives it to her, we see that Emily still has the ring she put on last night on her finger. At that moment, Kevin receives a phone call. Seeing the caller ID, he notices something strange. It's a call from Emily herself. Surprised, Kevin says, "This can't be right. This call is from you," and picks up the phone. As Kevin answers, the movie leaves us with only a hint of what's being said. We see Kevin listening to something strange and unsettling on the other end. The scene fades, leaving the mystery unresolved as the movie ends. So, what do you think about today's story? Don't forget to leave a comment and give a like below. Also, if you haven't subscribed to our Cinema Screen HD YouTube channel yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon by selecting all to stay updated. That's it for today. We'll see you soon in the next video. Until then, have a great day, everyone.